Alright, welcome back to another StackRabbit video. If this is your first time here, StackRabbit is an NES Tetris AI that I've been working really hard on, and I'm super excited to show off what it can do when it has no limits. In the previous video we saw what it can do when it has realistic human limitations, but today we're going to see it go all out. It's going to be doing 30 Hz tapping, which is as fast as you can do inputs with how the game works, and it also has no reaction time limitations. It's going to act as soon as it sees information on screen. So it is started on level 19 here for maximum scoring potential, and it is going to try and clear only Tetrises and no line clears other than Tetrises. That will maximize its score since Tetrises score far more points than any other line clears. And so far it's doing a pretty good job of that. Of course, it's always susceptible to the randomness of the game, which can push it into really tough scenarios sometimes, but it tries to maintain an accommodating stack to minimize the effect RNG has on its performance. Later on, we'll see the pace of the game change as the speed doubles at level 29. Humans have dubbed this the kill screen because it's extremely difficult for humans to play at that speed. But with no limitations, StackRabbit is going to thrive, and we're going to see it push the limits of this game. So stay on the lookout for that when that comes later on, but for now, it is playing perfect. It has cleared now 10 Tetrises in a row with no burned lines. So this is as close as we can get to Tetris perfection. It will not misdrop. It will not have any unforeseen errors. It plans everything out. And for example, you saw there, it put the L for the long bar immediately. It didn't even have to like put it somewhere else and adjust it. And that's because while the piece is loading in, it pre-plans where it's going to put it for all 7 possible things it could see in the next box. So if it sees a square in the next box, it's like, okay, well, if it's a square into S, I'll put it here. If it's a square into T, I'll put it here, and so on. And then as soon as the first frame where it shows in the next box, it just starts moving it to the right spot. So some of the highlights of the Human Possible video were the crazy adjustments it's doing, and it's still doing those. It just does them instantly. Its default placement is the optimal adjustment. And look at that, it is 68 lines in and has not burned a single line. It has gotten all Tetrises for 72 lines. It's going to push the limits. Oh, that was so sneaky. And you saw it actually passed on a Tetris there, but if it hadn't done that, it would not have had a spot for the next piece. So in very rare scenarios, it will pass on a Tetris. But generally, it's just going all out. It's at all stops just to get Tetrises. Oh, and the stuff it finds is so cool. It really blows my mind to this day. So we're approaching 100 lines, and it still has not burned anything. I've put some of its other achievements on screen. So the top achievement was what we saw in the last video, the Human Possible 1.5 million. But the other one, the second one, is a no limits achievement. So the 1.5 million into level 29 means from the start of the game till the end, it only burned like less than 5 lines, and it got into kill screen with 1.5 million, where the maximum possible score, like a perfect game, would be 1.54. And that is far and away the most impressive thing we've seen into kill screen so far. But it is 108 lines in, and it has not burned a single line. And it gets another Tetris. It's at 112 lines. It has gotten perfect transitions before. We'll see if it can get another one right now. But there's so much RNG if it doesn't get the long bar. And look at that, it's not getting the long bar. No matter how perfectly you play, you need the long bar. So it's going to burn a few lines there. It does a beautiful 5 and below is what that placement is called. It's going to get another Tetris. And it unfortunately does have to burn again, and some less than ideal pieces means it's going to have to dig out here. But that was a heck of a run. You got to give it all the credit in the world for getting to, what was it, like 112 lines perfect? You love to see it. And now it's past 130 lines is typically where you would transition from 18 to 19, but we started on 19, so we wait until the level 20 transition. And now every 10 lines the level's going to go up. And it's not going to stop when we hit 29. It's going to keep going up. But it's at a measly 800k into level 20. So still a phenomenal game. And so it's just chilling. It's doing some great stacking. And it has not a care in the world. What's really cool is that the way StackRabbit has been developed, it will adapt its play based on how fast it can tap and where it can get the pieces. So when it has human limitations, it gets scared about halfway up the board. And here it still gets scared, but it gets scared only once it gets to the limits of where it can get pieces. And I don't have to change any specific stuff about where it should be building. It just figures all that out. It figures that all out based on where it can tap. So right now it's not got a super ideal stack, but it's managing and gets some good pieces, so now it's gotten its stack back together. One interesting thing about playing when you have almost no burns is that if your stack gets disconnected, there's not really many ways to fix it. You just kind of have to get the pieces that fit there. You can't do any fancy burn techniques to reconnect your stack. But it has gotten everything back under control. It's at 1.1 million on level 24, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think the best human game is like a max out into 24, I think. Maybe someone has a max out on level 23, but still absolutely ridiculous. A 1.16 into level 25. Almost a 1.2 on 25. Absolute ridiculousness. And so we're approaching level 29, which is still called the kill screen, even though there are starting to be players who can play pretty deep into the kill screen. But it's gonna double the speed of the game. And even for a 30 Hz AI, it is going to have limitations on where it can put the pieces. So it can get about halfway up the board on the left side and like maybe 3/4 of the way up on the right side. And it will be able to do pretty fine with that, but it is still a significant limitation, so it will start to be more scared. But for right now, it has no fear. It is trying to get only Tetrises. And it's ready for another one. There we go, into level 28. It has 9 more lines until kill screen. It's trying to make the best out of them, but this is a terrible stack, and it makes some weird shapes. And it's not scared of doing funky stuff up here. This would be absolute suicide for any human, but it is just chilling. It is doing bizarre stuff, and it knows it's going to be okay. It goes into kill screen with a 1.43, and digs perfectly fine out of that disastrous board up at the top. It just brushes it off. It's like, wait, was I supposed to be scared of that? Of course, as you can see, it still is much more willing to burn on kill screen speed than it was on 19, and that's just because things are faster and more volatile, and since it is trying to go deeper into the later levels, it can't really risk having a top out and having to redo all of it. So it's just playing safer and getting as many Tetrises as it can, but not getting up too high to risk topping out. Although, as you can see on the screen, its previous best is 47 million, which is an absolutely ludicrous score. But it's already playing more efficient than that, just from all the improvements that have happened over the past few months, and just it's generally gotten better at stacking. So even as it goes for ridiculous scores, it's cool to see that it's still getting better. So we've gone a few levels into kill screen. We're now at level 33, and now it's got a bit of a weird board, but gets some alright pieces, and it's just gonna stack on top, and it'll get to this hole when it gets to it. There we go, now it's got the opportunity and it has cleaned things out. So we're on level 35, which is still within the realm of what humans have done. At the time of recording this video, the human level PB is level 41, so it still actually has a ways before it beats the best that humans have done. And I think that's just a testament to human achievement, because surviving on the kill screen is not easy by any means. Of course, there's lots of upcoming potential with the new rolling technique, which has allowed humans to access faster tapping speed than we ever could have previously imagined, and is already being used to get numerous world records. But for now, StackRabbit is in mid-level 37, and up to this point we've kind of gotten a good sample of what its general kill screen stacking looks like. So we're going to fast forward a little bit until its first major milestone. And here we are on the verge of breaking 10 million after a whopping 840 lines of gameplay, which is over 3 times the length of a normal game of Tetris to kill screen. But here it is, 1 Tetris away. The next long bar will do it, 10,085,000. And the score counter does not have any more digits to display it, so it wraps around to letters of the alphabet. So A represents 10 million, B represents 11 million, and so on. And it is going to get even funkier once it gets to the end of the alphabet and beyond. But for now, we're going to fast forward again. But here we are on the verge of hitting 1,000 lines, but it is getting to a bit of a situation here, so we'll see how I can dig out. But some nice placements there, and now it is on the verge of breaking 1,000 lines. And that long bar will do it. And now the line counter has also started wrapping around to letters of the alphabet. So, for a second, we can just sit back and admire the high-level gameplay, and from then we'll fast forward to the next big milestone. And you can see as we're fast forwarding here that the score is going up rapidly through the millions. And part of that is because every level that you go up, you get more points for each Tetris. So the score potential has been increasing. Now it's not immediately obvious why we stopped here, but you'll see in a second. And there it is, the first of the bugged color schemes that starts to occur when you get to high levels. And the reason why we have all these weird color palettes, which were not intended by the developers, is that the game never thought we would get this far, and so it has started reading random game data from the ROM as if it was the colors. And it is going to get funky. You can also see on the side, I've given a nickname to each of the color schemes. And let me know in the comments if you've come up with some other ones. Some of them are quite funky, so I had to get a little creative, like this glowing spaghetti. But, you know, you can kind of see it, right? I will say, it was kind of tough, because it turns out when you read game code as if it's colors, for some particular reason, there was a lot of dark colors and also glowing colors. And we can see here that we have a repeat already. We're not going to see too many of these. There's just these 3 levels. The first 3 that we saw happen again for some reason. So we get a repeat of glowing spaghetti. But after this, it's going to be all new for a long time. So sit back and enjoy the beautiful chaos created by misinterpreting this game's code. Well, I hope you've been enjoying these colors as much as I have, but we are about to hit a major milestone for the game, which is that you can see the score counter is out of alphabet. There are no more letters to display the score. So what it's going to start doing is reading into the sheet of sprites. So it's a bunch of random graphics used for other stuff in the game, but it's just going to start using that for the score sheet. Also, this is one of my favorite of the level names, but here's the sprite sheet. So this is what it's going to be reading from, and we saw it just shifted over from Z to negative sign. And it's going to keep going to the right through all those sprites, and it's going to start using some of the menu blocks and some of the pieces themselves. And we're still getting new colors, so don't sleep on those new color schemes either. Of course, I know this is a lot to take in between the level, the score, the sprites, the colors, and the placements themselves, so let's just sit back and watch StackRabbit do its thing, and keep pushing this game to its limits. And with that transition, we have reached the end of the novel colors. It's wrapped around to 0, and it's going to go up through all the colors again, including all the bugged colors. So even though we're going to be fast forwarding in a sec, it's going to be one last hurrah for all of your favorite color schemes. At this point, I also want to make a shout out to the sprites it's using in the score display. These are the sprites that make the boxes on the level select screen, but seeing them one by one like this is really bizarre. And now we've stopped because we're on the verge of hitting a very cursed level. This level 235 is going to last for 800 lines. That's 3 full games of Tetris to kill screen just on this level. And the colors are not going to change. There's going to be a lot of this screen. Of course, the flip side to that is that it's a lot of opportunity to rack up points. So it's at 65 million now, but it's going to go well beyond that. Although there is one thing that can stop StackRabbit, and that is the crash at the end of the game. Some have dubbed it the true kill screen, although there's no one set point where it happens. It's vulnerable to crashing anywhere in the late 230s and early 240s. And this crash comes from the fact that the later levels put immense pressure on the game's processor and it struggles to keep up with score calculations. But speaking of score, look at its score! It is on the verge of breaking 100 million. Just one more Tetris will do it, and there it is, the first 100 million in NES Tetris. And for context, this game was also the first 50 million in NES Tetris. So it really goes to show how far StackRabbit is pushing the envelope. Now, you can hear that the game is struggling right now. The audio is super scuffed. Fortunately, it's keeping up so far, and the score calculations are still going through. But you can never fully rest easy. Fortunately, it is finally nearing the end of this endless level 235. The line count is at U88, and once it reaches V, it will finally start incrementing the level. But that also means the danger of crashing is only increasing. So it's still trying to milk out these last points on 235. And that Tetris will do it, and it transitions into 236 with 101 million points. But it's playing on borrowed time here, so every last Tetris counts. But it's not getting a long bar. Where is the long bar? And there's the long bar, and it's gonna crash the game with that Tetris into level 237. Its final score is 102,252,920 at 3,100 lines. And I did a lot of fast forwarding in that video. The uncut runtime of that game is over an hour and 5 minutes long. So hopefully that helps you appreciate how monumental this game is. Not only the first 50 million, but also the first 100 million in NES Tetris, and also just a wonderful tour through what happens in the later levels. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more StackRabbit and other content coming soon.